All right, everybody. Thank you so much for joining. Uh, Again, today's webinar is going to be covering drone mapping and excavation. And before I get into it, I just want to talk a little bit about some of the struggles that industrial project managers and projects in general run into and the cause of them. My name is Barry Rapkin. I'm the Chief Marketing Officer for Identified Technologies. And as you have questions throughout the presentation, feel free to enter them in the text box below the video. So in terms of why so many projects end up running late or over budget, the reason is actually pretty clear. Every day, project managers are asked to do the impossible, go to war with a mountain of paperwork, communicate to their contractors, their leadership, their customers, while having perfect visibility to every change on every massive job site all simultaneously. In truth, it's an impossible job. No one can be 3 or 4 places at once. And sometimes something has to give. And if you're keeping track of a massive 100-acre site or even a 1,000-acre site that has rapidly changing contractors, equipment, and building projects, it's really tough if you're trying to do it using the same technology that we had 20 or 30 years ago. And most construction is still done off of a rolled up paper blueprint. Managers are walking the site with clipboards, taking notes and pictures, and all the stakeholders actually have to physically come out and visit the job site to check progress, even if it's across the country or across the world. This can obviously result in a lot of delays and misunderstandings. And aerial overhead data is normally only rarely captured due to the massive costs and delays. And this all leads to a big problem because it's impossible to make fast, informed decisions without consistent site visibility. It leads to inefficiency because expensive contractors and rental equipment often goes unused due to bottlenecks that could have otherwise been prevented. It leads to project delays because you're waiting for customers to get out to the site to approve portions of work and release funds for the next section. It can lead to low profits because when projects go over budget, it comes directly out of the construction company's profits. And it can lead to lost customers because customers, unfortunately, who experience disappointments on their projects may not use you again, may stop mid-project, or may even file lawsuits. So how can drones help? Drones provide job site visibility. They give accurate data. They can collect the data automatically. You get the data back in near real time. You're not waiting months or weeks to get the data back. It may just be hours, and it's completely secure. In terms of our company and Identified Technologies, what we do is we build and offer a subscription for the world's only automated project insight system. We're not a drone company. We're not a service provider. We're not a vacuum or a maid, but a Roomba. We serve clients such as Kokosing, Seneca Resources, PJ Dick, Mascaro, Americol, and EQT, some of the largest industrial leaders out there. And we've been featured by publications such as TEDx, Inc., CNN, South by Southwest, TechCrunch, and NBC. For the agenda for today's talk, we're going to go over the basics everyone should know about drones, how drones benefit you and your specific industry, how drones are saving excavators time and money, and then we're going to open it up for Q&A and a special limited time offer just for today's live attendees. So in terms of the basics that everyone should know about drones, I'll just start with a little bit on the past and present of drones. Remote control planes and helicopters have been around for a long time, for decades. And you got to ask, well, why is there kind of this sudden interest in drone technology? Well, the reason was this was a common RC user experience. They were flimsy. They were really just sort of toys. They weren't professional, reliable, accurate tools. And you couldn't do much with them other than fly them around until the wind caught them and they came down. So what changed? Why is there this sudden, massive interest in drones that we see today? Well, it's a combination of government and private sector innovation. NASA has been working for decades on flight controllers. The U.S. Navy has released GPS. For years, these were massive, massive machines. About 10 years ago, people started having them in their cars, and now most of us have them in our smartphones. There's miniaturized sensors like accelerometers and gyroscopes that also many of us have in our phones that let us tell exactly how something is moving and tilting. High quality, high definition, miniaturized digital cameras, and all those combined with progress in model aircrafts have empowered the modern drone that we know today. We've seen early applications in real estate, sports, movies, TV commercials, deliveries, and they're benefiting a lot of different industries: mining and gas, construction. Mining, construction, oil and gas, agriculture, landfills, mapping, and survey. You're now able to automate advanced surveying and mapping. So stuff that always had to be collected by hand at great time and expense, or gathered by plane, also at great time and expense. Suddenly, you can just automatically have drones collect for you. Data such as 3D volumetric analysis, contour maps, orthomosaic overlays, and as-built versus as-planned blueprint overlays. And all the data that you're seeing here, all these maps are actually straight out of our SiteIQ software. These are just screenshots right from the tool you'd use with identified technologies. You can also do things like monitor progress reports and cut fill tracking, securely share data and export it in all major file formats. And we'll be talking a lot more about this and how it applies specifically to excavators. And we're working on several sensors for the near future. That includes normalized difference vegetation index, or NDVI. That's really useful for agriculture and for any projects that involve maybe national parks or vegetation growth on highways. Thermal imaging that lets us see, again, life forms and then also gas detection and methane, maybe for pipeline leaks or utility issues. Working on sense and avoid technology. So if you bring in a crane one day and you forget about lifting the drone up a little bit higher, it will automatically know to go around it. And multispectral cameras as well. In terms of what the right drone is for you, there's a big range. And the right drone for you is really just going to depend on your exact application. Your perfect drone solution is probably out there. It's just about knowing what the right drone for you is. So you could spend almost $100 million on a Global Hawk from Northrop Grumman. It'll fly for about 28 hours straight and weighs 32,000 pounds. Or on the other end of the spectrum, you can get a Phantom DJI. It's about $1,000. It's a great, just like light consumer toy. And if you just want to snap some photos, it's perfect. So in terms of how identified technologies is different from other options, like getting a traditional aerial survey from a plane or a manned survey. In terms of frequency for an aerial survey, maybe you'll get it once a month. Often it's more like once a quarter. Pretty expensive, might be about $15,000 for a 100-acre site. Doesn't take long to perform. It might just be 2 hours to gather the data, but it could take up to a month to book the aerial survey, and then another couple of weeks or even months to process the data. So it could be 2 to 3 months from when you order the survey till you actually have your data. For a manned survey team, same situation, might be 15 or 20 grand. Might be able to get the team out there faster, but then they have to gather the data, which is much slower, especially if it's a large area or hazardous ground. Again, you're looking at something like 2 months from when you actually want your data until you get it. And if there's problems and the project isn't going the way it should, you don't find out until after you've already sunk 2 months worth of time, resources, and schedule into it. And at that point, you have to sort of play catch up. The reason identified technologies is different is you can fly as often as you want to. It's the same price. If you want to fly once a month, once a week, once a day, no problem. Instead of having huge booking lead time, it's basically instantaneous with a subscription. And if you have a 100-acre site, you're going to be able to gather all the data in less than 10 minutes, and you can have the data processed a couple hours later. So you see in virtually real time exactly where your progress is at and where your projects are each moment. And if anything isn't going the way you'd like it to, you catch it immediately before big time and expense has been sunk into it. If you want to build out your own drone system, that's definitely a good option. It's important to know everything that goes into that. So you'll need to handle all the FAA regulations, handling drone pilots and certification, paying them, drone maintenance. You'll need to handle not just the drone itself, but all the back end. So all the software, all the hardware, all the processing, all the storage and management. And a lot of these are big files. They may be 15 or 20 gigabytes per map. So in uncondensed form. So you just need to be ready to store and manage all that across your team. You need to handle the insurance or take on the risk of the drone and the drone usage. And then also the cost of replacing drones over time as they get obsolete, and or if they should happen to crash, a drone might be $50,000, even if no one's injured. So if you do it all in house, that's just what you need to sort of keep in mind. And if you want to get deeper in that, we have a really good webinar that you can watch later, just called "What's the Real Cost of Drone Ownership?" And it really drills down to the actual dollars for each one of those categories. In terms of what the drone mapping process looks like, if you're doing it yourself, this is the sequence. You need a KML with a map perimeter so you can build your flight plan. You have to lay ground control points, basically one at each corner and one in the center, so the drone can calibrate from the ground to the data it's collecting. You'll need to create and upload your flight plan, fly the drone, geotag all the data, transfer the data to a processing center from the drone, process all the data, store and manage the data, and then analyze and collaborate with the team on the insights that you gather. And what makes Identified really special and different is, instead of that 9-step process, with Identified, you're ready for takeoff. With us, after the initial GCPs and KML are laid, which is just once on a project that could be a year or two long, after that, all you have to do, upload your flight plan. You're going to fly the drone. You literally just push a button. The drone will take itself off, fly the area, gathering all the data, come back, land itself. You upload that data. It's automatically processed into useful reports. And then you just access and analyze your job site. So you push the button, it gets the data, you access the reports that you're after. There's no manual piloting, so it's very scalable. It's a highly reliable commercial grade product, and it's helpful for completing your work more efficiently, saving money versus alternatives, differentiating yourself from the competition, showing your tech leadership, faster customer communications, more accurate and expeditious QA. And it lets you also do marketing, showcasing work. You can take potential customers along the story, showing them week to week the project and the progress that you made. Anybody can sort of talk about this, but I want to actually show you guys a quick clip of it in action. And then later on in this, I'll bring on one of our representatives, one of our drone advisors, so you can actually see some of our software in action. And if you have any questions about it, we can give you a nice tour. Okay, so this is a clip of our actual drone in action. So you're gonna make the KML, just showing the area you want. We break it down automatically into a flight plan for the drone. You show up on the job site. Open up your boomerang. Just run through the safety checklist. push the button, the drone will automatically take itself off, capture all the data, come back, land itself. You'll put the data up on the cloud for processing. You'll be able to access it, see progress. And again, a 100-acre site, it's going to take less than 10 minutes to gather the data. It's that easy. And here's a few clips, but I'll show you more and we'll go deeper into the kind of data you can capture with it. It's a fly through of a couple mountains that Kokosing was carving through down in Kentucky. So you've been very patient, and hopefully that background on our company is helpful. Now I'm going to dive into how drones are actually saving excavators time and money. So first off, if you're not super familiar with it, I just want to talk a little bit about what earthwork is. Earthwork is just when you move soil or rock on the Earth's surface. And earthwork can include land grading to reconfigure a site's topography, such as preparing level ground for a highway or a skyscraper, or to stabilize steep slopes to prevent landslides. The cut is the earth above the desired ground level that needs to be removed, and the fill is the area below the desired ground level that needs to be filled in. So ideally, the cuts are moved to the fills so resources don't have to be used to transport additional earth in or out. There's several ways to estimate cut and fill quantities, including the cross-section and grid methods. Factors in choosing the best method include project complexity, accuracy level required, and how fast the data is needed. The cost of earthwork is a function of the amount of soil hauled times the distance. And the goal of mass haul planning is to optimize these amounts to minimize the total cost. Moving millions of cubic yards of earth requires an array of heavy construction equipment. These include such earth-moving machines as scrapers, bulldozers, dump trucks, loaders, backhoes, and dragline excavators. Accurately estimating the amount of soil moved lets you return or transfer equipment to new projects early, which can save you tens of thousands of dollars a day in labor and equipment costs. When compressed earth is pulled out of the ground, it takes up more space in its loose, unpacked form. This phenomenon is known as swelling or fluffing. It means that 10,000 yards of earth in the ground will actually fill up much more space in dump trucks. And this can make tracking progress and earth almost impossible with traditional methods. Traditionally, excavation progress estimates have just been made by counting trucks. Unfortunately, natural variations between truckloads, earth swelling, and the incentive for contractors to only fill their trucks half full so they can overcharge for more loads makes this pretty unreliable. Based on trucks counted, you might think you're 80% finished with a project, but really only be 60% done because of swelling. The surprise work still required can have a massive impact on deadlines, on planning, on cost management, and on final bottom line profits. In terms of mapping drones, identified technology's Boomerang allows excavators to gather data in minutes that would otherwise take months to survey by foot. Drones also allow you to safely reach areas that are inaccessible or dangerous on foot and prohibitively costly to survey by traditional methods, such as a manned helicopter or fixed-wing aircraft. Now, when there's a problem, instead of sinking a month or 2 months of labor, budget, and schedule into it before you find out, now for the first time, you can detect it and correct it in real time. The combination of the Boomerang mapping drone and SiteIQ automatically capture and process job site data into 3D map reports. What we offer, we call the EDAS solution, that's end-to-end drone as a service. And the subscription continuously monitors progress over time on your site, improving speed, efficiency, accuracy, client satisfaction, and safety. The boomerang can accurately track regions all the way from inception to project completion and export CSV reports to easily report on what's being moved and when. 3D volumetric analysis is built right into our SiteIQ tool. You don't need anything additionally. You can also scan 2D and 3D precision maps with 3D volumetric analysis in near real time. You can also, as we discussed, generate contour line maps, orthomosaic overlays, and as-built versus as-planned comparisons, as you'll see. In this project, this is just an example. You just map around aggregate piles or around an excavation project to see the exact yards of the cut and of the fill, and you can check back week to week and see progress over time. We can also do cut fill heat maps right in the tool, so you can easily see in 3 dimensions the area below and above the level that you want to move and track the excavation progress over time. We mentioned contour line maps. Additionally, you can securely share updates with stakeholders and export reports in all standard data formats. If you're working with an engineering team, they'll appreciate that they can actually overlay their blueprints or their BIM models over the real 3D map of the actual area. This gives them context and assures everybody's on the same page. And it lets them do accurate error detection and fast, efficient quality control. I'm going to read a quote from John Mackin. He's a site manager for Mascaro Construction. He said, "We had outdated topographical maps when we budgeted for the earthwork on our site initially. Our estimates were 20% off in the wrong direction, and we were the ones that had to absorb that risk and that error. I wish we had identified technologies before we started." And I bet a lot of the people in the audience have been in that situation before. You went off old data on the job site. It said, X amount of yards need to be moved, and it ended up being a lot more. And you're stuck doing the labor for that unexpectedly. So for the first time ever, with the Boomerang and SiteIQ, you can actually cost effectively map the area before you bid and stop relying on obsolete data. When old data exaggerates the project scope, you can confidently underbid and win the project. When it's low, you can avoid the surprise costs and bid appropriately. You can make more money in less time. You can see your exact project status, ensuring that you're never wasting time and resources or going past your deadline or budget. You can know when each phase is completed. This lets you reconcile billing without cash flow delays, and often you can actually just share the data directly with your partner so they don't even need to come out on the site, saving everybody time and headache. You can compress your schedule. That lets you save more money on labor and equipment and earn more from more jobs in less time. And you get the data you need to make fast, informed decisions. That's why our slogans know when others guess. So why would you want to use drones or identify technologies for excavation and earth moving? You can maximize new bids won, jobs completed per year, profits per job, stakeholder collaboration, and client satisfaction, all while minimizing billing reconciliation delays, surprise project costs, overwork or rework on projects, mass haul costs, equipment and labor costs, contractor injuries, because every time you're using a survey drone, you're not putting any manned survey teams at risk on hazardous ground, minimizes late and over budget projects, and regulatory and technology costs, setup time, and problems. If you try to cobble together your own system, the software provider and the hardware provider and the server host might all be pointing fingers at each other if anything goes wrong. With us, it's a complete end-to-end solution. We handle everything, and our premium service is probably one of the most important aspects of our business. We have a vested interest in making sure that you are happy and you're getting the full value out of your product without any downtime. So with that, I'd like to thank you. You've been very patient, and I appreciate your time today. I know how busy you are, and I'd love to take the time to just answer some specific questions you have about excavation, about mapping drones, about our process and our system. So please, I welcome audience Q&A. If you could, if you haven't already, please sign in. There's a Q&A sign-in box right below the video. You can sign in using Facebook, Twitter, or just an anonymous guest account. And I welcome your questions. And I also have an offer where you can actually win a free whole month of automatic drone surveying. Has a over $7,000 max value. We recently offered the service for GAI Consulting, and I know they've been really happy. So feel free to just take a moment or two after this webinar. And if you go to the very bottom right of the screen, under links, there's an option to get free aerial drone mapping. So if you click that after this discussion, you'll have a chance to win a whole month of drone mapping free. And all we're going to ask is a couple of questions to make sure that as we're improving the product over time, that that we're meeting your real needs. So it just helps us build a better product for you. So with that, I'll go back for Q&A. And I can either do general Q&A, or if you guys actually want to see SiteIQ in action and see some of these things really happening right in the software, we can do that too. What are people most interested in? And there's no right or wrong answer here. I just want to make sure that you're getting your questions answered. So one of the more common questions we get is our data accurate? So after this, feel free, under our case studies, there's one on how drone data compares to standard aerial accuracy from, let's say, a plane. And it's in fact within 1% of LiDAR, and it's at 99.6% accuracy to standard traditional methods. So you're getting your data in near real time at a dramatically decreased cost, but it's still at sub-centimeter precision, in most cases higher than almost any job requires. In fact, a lot of our customers ask us to slightly downsample the data just because they don't need it to quite that level. Another question that we often get is just how they know that we're a legitimate company. Maybe it sounds too good to be true. We're a venture-backed company. We are fully insured up to $5 million. We have a FAA 333 exemption to operate, which you can see on the FAA's website. We work with leading firms featured in the Engineering News Record ENR top 400 contracting firms in the US. If you go to our news page on the site, we've been featured by dozens of respected national and industry publications, and we have an A+ Better Business Bureau rating. So hopefully that puts your minds at ease, but the proof is always in the results. So if there's anything else that you're curious about or any conversations you want to have, I'd invite you to, after this, just fill out a contact us form at the top of our site, or sign up for a demo so you can actually see our software in action and see how it would apply for your business. Okay. With that, if there's no additional questions, I will just let you all get back to your day. If there's anything else you're curious about, feel free to follow up. Again, sign up for a demo or a contact to talk to one of our drone advisors. It's completely free. And if we can help, we'd love to. And if we're not, we'll point you in the right direction for the right solution for your needs. So with that, I want to thank you all very, very much for your time and wish you all a great week ahead. Thank you.